The 2025 IndyCar season kicks off here from Chicago Street Course as we are ready to kick off our rookie campaign alongside fellow rookies of Lewis Foster, Robert Schwartzman, Jacob Abel, as well as one of the Rookie of the Year contenders in Indianapolis later this season, Kyle Larson. Now as we are driving in the Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan number 97 Mobile 1 IndyCar for this season, as you see it on track here for this first and opening laps of qualifying at the Chicago Street Course. As a rookie, we have a rookie teammate with Lewis Foster, but we're going up against a brand new team on the grid this season, Prima Racing, of course, coming from Formula 2, where they field Callum Ilott and Robert Schwartzman as well, and it's going to be an exciting season going up against as well. Don't forget one of the McLaren drivers that's going to be a very big threat all season long, Nolan Siegel, in his first full-time season campaign. That's going to be exciting, as well as you see myself having a big moment there on my second lap of qualifying. Now, you might be wondering, as I'm going to take you through my quickest lap of qualifying here. After 5 complete laps, I was 27th. I was slowest on the grid here, and this was just enough time to run 2 more laps, and this would end up being my quickest lap. But you might be wondering, why are we in Chicago when the IndyCar series in real life is actually in St. Petersburg, Florida? Well, that track's not in iRacing. That's where we're doing this career mode. So tracks that are not in iRacing, that are in real life, we will simply be replacing them with a track that is of similar style. St. Petersburg is a street course. This is a street course, so I went with Chicago. There's a few other tracks that will be different as well throughout the season, but the very large majority are the same tracks as real life, so stay tuned on that as we'll go over it as the season goes on. So that's why we're in Chicago Street Course, a very treacherous circuit, very tight walls around you, some sketchy points. This is going to be a race of survival. It's going to be a wild season opener, I expect, as we cross the line and we end up going P19, which I was actually quite happy with that compared to my pace all throughout qualifying previously. But to the surprise of the entire grid, it was Connor Daly going pole position over Scott Dixon, and then rookie and new team on the grid, Prima, with Schwartzman there in the top 3. But a big surprise overall in qualifying, Alex Palou down in P9, your defending champion as well. McLaughlin powered down the grid. How about Joseph Newgard and Pato Award? They have some rough starting positions as well. There's some big names with immediate work to do in the season opener, round 1 of 17. Let's kick it off here from Chicago. We have 35 laps of racing. A fuel tank will get us about 23 laps, maybe 24 maximum. So after 12 laps or so, you can pit and make it to the end. So expect to see some drivers come in around that time as we are ready for racing. Season 2025 is underway for the NTT IndyCar Series. Connor Daly leads the way down into turn number 1, followed by Scott Dixon and Robert Schwartzman. You see the rest of the field sorting things out, but what a start for Connor Daly here, kicking off a full-time season for JHR now alongside Stingray Robb as the rest of the field is getting sorted out. I am tucked in behind Pato Award. One thing that happened immediately is I actually tapped the back of Pato Award into turn number 1, so I do have a little bit of damage on the right front of my wing, and nearly picked up more there as we head into the right-hander. And now here comes Nolan Siegel at my inside, wheel to wheel as we exit the double right-handers, and Siegel not going to make it easy now, trying to put some pressure on myself in his first full-time campaign with McLaren as we head down into the braking zone. Another lunge by Siegel. I was being a little bit cautious, and I'm going to pay the price, but Siegel can open up the throttle. We stay ahead and maintain P18 after gaining 1 spot on the initial start, and it was actually on Siegel there. A bit of a moment in front of us. That was Callum Ilott, I believe, actually scraping the wall, and you're going to see some drivers use up the barriers certainly here today as we come towards the end of lap 1. This is such a sketchy area of the circuit, and the first 10 laps of 35, my mentality was pretty simple. I wasn't necessarily looking for speed. My mentality was, let's survive, because the walls are so tight. You're so confined in this circuit. You got to be so careful here in the Chicago street course season opener, so I was really just trying to get through these first 10 laps and hope for the best. Now, although I did have slight wing damage, it really wasn't impacting me too much. What a send right there from Siegel up the inside. He takes the position, not waiting around for me, and he goes through into P18. I drop back down to 19th position, right where we started. Fellow Canadian just behind Devlin DeFrancesco there, and as well, teammate, of course, 2 Canadians on this team for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. Now, of course, other teammates include Graham Rahal and fellow Rookie of the Year contender Lewis Foster, the British driver. Now, as we continue to try and stick with Nolan Siegel, I wasn't a huge fan of that send he did on me and how he was able to pass me, so I've been kind of focused immediately on getting him back. So although I was, focused on survivability in the first 10 laps, that quickly went to the competitive side of me, and I said, okay, I want to go and get him back as soon as I possibly can here now. And you can see as the laps are continuing on here, lap 4 still, but we're reeling in Siegel right to the back of him now. A bit of a stack up in front of us now. Some drivers have run into the wall and gotten some wing damage, and that was kind of stacking up some things here now, as this will probably be the #1 race where we see this kind of stuff happen as we go for a send, and actually leaning on Siegel, a bit of contact there. He brushes the barrier now. Both of us really getting after each other, but Siegel going to get back in front. He maintains that position. This has been a fierce battle early on, and I don't think it's over as we continue to try and chase him down and make this overtake happen. Starting lap 5 of 35. Plenty of laps to go here in this race. You see the right bottom of your screen, the leaderboard and the relative of the drivers around us and the lap count. If you're wondering, I am going to try and get a leaderboard up on the screen starting in the next episode. Here is actually Connor Daly under pressure for the lead. Here comes Scott Dixon trying to go around the outside. Can he make it happen? The answer is no. Daly maintains for now, throws a bit of a defensive move, but he got the whole top 5 right here together. Schwartzman, how about as well Christian Lundgaard and the McLaren having a very, very solid run, and that #7, of course, taking place of Alex Rossi, who heads elsewhere now as we show the nose, and again, a lunge up the inside of Siegel, near contact. He stays ahead as we'll have to stay put in P19, but wanting to get this overtake done, but it's really hard to pass at this circuit with how tight it is. So it's a really unique start to the season that's going to feel probably quite different from the majority of the rest of the season. Of course, we do have some more street courses on the way. Long Beach later in the season, we go to Detroit. Toronto's not on the calendar, so we won't be going there, but now using our push to pass alongside Siegel, wheel to wheel again. He's not going to back out of it. We got to leave him the space. What a fierce competitor from the young McLaren driver early on, and he continues to hold on to P18. This has been an absolute blast, running for 18th place. We're fighting hard for, but 18th, not where we want to be running, not where Siegel wants to be running. Award in 17th, he wants to be running better. Newgarden is a few spots behind us in 22nd. He expects to be doing better. So this is really an anomaly of a race so far to kick things off this season. And again, looking to the outside of Siegel out of turn 1, starting lap 7, can't quite make it happen, but we get a better exit, a lunge up the inside into turn 2, halfway up his side pod there, and we exit turn 2 still wheel to wheel with the push to pass again. This time I'm taking this position whether he likes it or not, and a bit of contact actually there as his rear wing clipped my rear tire. Not sure if he's going to suffer any damage from that one. Hopefully not, because we were having a fierce battle, but I'm sure he is just as frustrated with me as I am with him, as Connor Daly now starting lap 8 is actually opening up the gap to Scott Dixon, who's falling into the hands of Robert Schwartzman. So Dixon starting to struggle. Christian Lundgaard to follow as well, as you see Alex below there. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, Santino Ferrucci, all just in front of myself now as we're all over the back now of Pato Award, and Siegel had now lost out to my teammate of Devlin DeFrancesco. So I believe I did actually put some damage, unfortunately, on Nolan Siegel. So not exactly what I wanted to do. And now we're looking for an overtake on his teammate and one of the superstars of the series, Pato Award, now as we go alongside him as we head down the straightaway here on lap 8, looking for the position. This will put us through into P17. Outbraking Award into the left-hander, but he's going to fight back. Wheel to wheel, great battles all around in this race so far, and we are not even halfway through, but we complete the overtake and take P17, and our charge through the mid-teens continues on as we look for 16th place, currently occupied alongside by Callum Ilott, the second driver for this brand new team on the grid with Prema. Of course, the other one being, like we already mentioned a few times, Robert Schwartzman, who's having a great run, and he had actually taken second place at this point from Scott Dixon. So Schwartzman is through into P2 as Connor Daly continues to run away and is shocking the entire grid with a dominant start to this race and as well qualifying on pole position. I can definitely tell right off the bat, don't, take that for granted. I don't expect to see Connor Daly continue to run like he's running today. Is actually go for a move here on Callum Ilott. I don't expect to see Newgarden continue to struggle, or Pato O'Ward as well. I think we'll really start to see things kind of look a bit normal starting in race 2 and race 3. And as well, if you're wondering about how often this series is going to be out, it's going to be just like my Supercars Career Mode series. On every real-life race weekend, we'll be doing an episode to correlate alongside that real-life event. Example, when it's Indy 500 weekend, we'll be at the Indy 500 point of this career mode now. So yeah, expect 17 races this season, basically, in 17 episodes, as we are now still fighting with Callum Ilott around the outside, and here he is again, fiercely trying to keep it up the inside, but we use that push to pass, and we'll stay in front of Ilott now. So up into now 16th place, and here's fellow rookie on the grid, Jacob Abel there, with the American for Dale Coyne Racing. Of course, his teammate being Rinus VK now, as we continue to try and stalk that black, red, and white livery on the track, and you got a whole line of cars in front of us, including Santino Ferrucci as well as Scott McLaughlin, as we already come to the start of lap 11, using some more push to pass. Up the inside we go of Abel. Can we get this position? The answer is I think so. Hold on, can't quite clear him. He fights back up the inside. I go a bit of a more tighter entry there, as I learned from the last lap, and we'll take the position now, as here's Lundgaard into the outside wall. He went for an overtake on Scott Dixon to take P3, the final spot of the podium. Instead, he's maybe ruined his entire race. He's off the pace now, as we're going to be coming up on this. He's going to be slow. The new McLaren driver, the highest running McLaren driver to kick off today's race and season, and now he's going to be maybe in the pit lane for the foreseeable future, depending on how they are able to get that car fixed. And there he is off the pace. Christian Lundgaard, not what he needed whatsoever to kick off this 2025 season now, and this is going to get awkward. Here comes his teammate of Nolan Siegel, who hits the outside wall trying to avoid him. His wing's gone, at least the left side of it is. He stacks up in front of everybody now. 2 McLarens in 1 lap. Oh my goodness. Now, as you can see, some drivers pitting as well. Joseph Newgarden and Foster spitting, Abel spitting just behind us. You see it on the top of your screen, drivers calling out that they're pitting, and that's because we hit the end of lap 12, so we are in the fuel window. If you pit now, you can make it to the end. It would be close. You would basically be running out within a lap after you finish, but you can make it, so expect to see this pit window open. We stay green, no caution comes down, nobody crashed. Of course, some cars hit the wall, but no one went around, no one crashed, no one stopped. We continue green here from this season opening race here from Chicago Street Course to kick off the 2025 IndyCar season. Schwartzman now pits from second. He's a very large distance behind Connor Daly. Dixon stays out. How about Marcus Armstrong? He's going to come into the pits as well. Alex Below, he's going to stay out a little bit longer. As you can see, very mixed strategy. Some drivers are going to pit now over the next lap or two. Some drivers are going to stretch it. There goes Will Power, Santino Ferrucci right on my nose. Pits, Rinus VK as well, Kiffin Simpson, all of those guys all coming into the pits. Now for myself here, we are on these alternate tires. We're going to be going on to the primaries, which of course are a bit slower, but they last longer. We are going to stay out a few more laps, but I'm looking to pit just a little bit before the halfway point of this race. But look at the pace we have right now. We are running down Scott McLaughlin. We are really benefiting on just keeping, for the most part, a clean nose and a clean suspension on this car by not knocking down the wall, which a few drivers have already done. It's been a wild start to the season, to say the bare minimum here now, as we're currently inside the top 10, but of course that's going to change once we go through our pit stop. Scott Dixon is now going to be pitting, so he moved up of course to second by staying out. Connor Daly still on the racetrack, so if a caution comes out, you're in a really bad position right now, of course, because if you haven't pitted, at least, because everyone's going to lose out to the guys that have pitted now. Using push to pass on McLaughlin on the run towards the right bend. We clear him into the corner. Thank you very much, Mr. Scotty Mack. We will take that position away from the Penske driver. We are having a great run in our debut for Rahal Letterman Lanigan. We know, of course, we're going to be still outside the top 10 after we complete our pit stop, and we're going to be making our pit stop very soon, coming to lap 16. 20 laps to go. We're very much within the fuel window. All we had to do was get to lap 12 and we were within the fuel window. We start lap 16, so of course, yeah, we are well within it. We can really pit whenever we want at this point, and like I said, I wanted to get somewhat close to halfway, not quite to halfway. I don't want to run half the race on the alternates and half the race on the primaries. That just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, so we will be pitting very momentarily here. Now is looking now for a move on Felix Rosenqvist on the run towards the left-hander, and up ahead you got as well Alex Rossi, as we'll go side by side with Rosenqvist for Meyershank. Actually, he briefly got into the outside wall. I left him plenty of room right there, so not really much I could have done differently now as we continue on into the now 4th position, nearly into the wall right there. That would have not been a hit we would have enjoyed. That probably would have been a race-ending hit right there as we go into this penultimate turn and into the outside wall, and we've knocked the left side of the wing off, and immediately we got to come into the pits now. It's going to be a simple wing repair, but a mistake. The first mistake of the day. We dive into the pits about a lap or two earlier than I had planned, but we knocked the left side of the wing off with a simple mistake on my own. That was influenced by nobody. That was just a self-inflicted error. Now, fortunately, it's just going to be a wing change, so we can get in and get out within decent time. It's going to be 5 seconds to basically get that sorted out. So we get the tires on, these new Firestone primaries, we get fuel in the car, and now we get a new wing on the car, and we're going to get back going on the racetrack now. So we're probably going to cycle out maybe a position or two behind what we previously were when the cycle kicked off, but outside of that, it's not going to be too bad as Christian Rasmussen is a lap down now. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him as we'll rejoin the racetrack. Crash, contact, Rinus VK, and the right front's destroyed, and our season debut is over. As an IndyCar rookie, the right front suspension's destroyed, and that's going to be it. It's over just in the blink of an eye. A run that was impressing of all the rookies comes to a complete disastrous end. What just happened? You see the replay, and oh, you see it there, VK. He actually loses the rear end. Watch this as we exit. I couldn't really go anywhere. He loses the rear end, slides into me, and we couldn't do anything. We crash, and it's over. Race over. DNF. And race 1, we don't have any fast repairs on iRacing AI career modes. And that changed everything. With cautions, drivers that stayed out, of course, got the short end of the stick, and it was Robert Schwartzman for Prima who would benefit the most and win the season opening round here from Chicago Street Course over, it would be Marcus Armstrong and Scott Dixon all on the podium over Kiffin Simpson, Stingray Robb, Jacob Abel, as well as Santino Ferrucci, fellow Canadian, and teammate Devlin DeFrancesco, Lewis Foster up in the top 10, Pato Award, Joseph Newgarden, all getting great finishes compared to where they started this race at least, but it would be Connor Daly who got the short end of the stick, and staying out screwed him over because he had to pit under caution, and that ruined his race, and he would end up down in 21st position. Scott McLaughlin down in 23rd, as well as David Malukas. Colton Herta all the way down in 25th, another driver that got the short end of the stick. He actually was the last car in the lead lap, as Rossi had some trouble late in the race, and Christian Rasmussen had trouble earlier in the race, and it would be 26th, 27th, and 28th for them. We aren't going to bother looking at the points for round 1 because it's obvious it's where everybody finished in this first round. But wow, what a disappointing end to our first race as an IndyCar rookie here in 2025. Very, very disappointing way to end things there, and unfortunately that was terrible timing, and it completely screwed up the race for other drivers. So I really had nowhere to go. I could have maybe backed out of it, but I really stayed over to the wall like you're supposed to do. Wrong place, wrong time with the back end kicking out on Rinus VK's machine, and that ends our debut in the IndyCar series. We'll be back for episode number 2 to follow soon, and I will see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.